do some resawing. Not thinking. Went to go cut this piece. I never stuck the plate back. Sucked this piece down there so damn quick, bent the blade. Not smart. Not smart. I will try it on a piece of scrap if it's too bad. I mean, since I'm putting them through the planer, I might be able to get away with a super, super rough cut. But makes me a little leery too. So let's see what I can do. If I can get some blanks to make up the inlay banding. And I've decided, I think what I'm going to try to do I'm going to just try ebonizing a piece of it. Not bad. Okay, I was just thinking of something, right? I'm going to be making this big block that I'm going to cut down and use as banding. Well, with this, I'm only really dyeing the surface. On the inside, it is still maple. It's just like putting a stain on. So I really need to go with the maple in that situation, or with the ebony in that situation. See, that's the benefit of ebony. It's black all the way through the wood, where this is just going to be dyed, which is fine. When I'm done the upper parts, that'll work out nicely. A couple more coats, it'll become darker and richer. But this, what I want to try to do is, since the ebony is going to be the outer two sides, I want to go ahead and plane this down on both ends. I want to try to get 3 pieces out of it, if not 4. Okay, so I drew 3 lines on here representing the 4 slabs. And hopefully on the bandsaw, I'll be able to cut these 4 slabs out. Then I'll take those 4 slabs and bring them down to a thinner thickness like this. So hopefully I can get 4 total sheets out of this 1 block of ebony, wasting as little as possible. Let's give this a shot. Okay, this blade is really tearing the hell out of the wood. But, that being said, I think it'll be enough to hopefully do what we need to do. I'm going to bring down this this ebony down to final thickness. I do have a thin little push stick that I can kind of push stuff through, just in case. I could always shut the machine down, which is probably the best. So let's go ahead and they are literally so rough and so thin that they are just shattering into pieces. I'm going to try and take the 2 thickest ones and salvage them. But, give you an idea. I just, exploded $30 worth of ebony. Okay, hopefully this won't explode into a million pieces. Thought I was doing good. I chipped one out. I'll keep going. The entire block of ebony that I cut off from that big piece. This is the only piece that's somewhat salvageable, and not really. It's pretty bad. I think we're going to need to take a different approach. I've managed to take $25 worth of ebony and turn it into really, really black looking sawdust. Just going to cut off a piece of this Paduke. I'm going to cut this down in half on the bandsaw. Paduke cut in half, resaw. Now I'll go ahead and put this through. They're much better with the Paduke. Nice thin pieces, really wispy. Okay, it's Sunday morning and my shop, as you can see, is a disaster area. So I think I need to just take 10 minutes before the start and just clean this up a little, because it would drive me nuts otherwise. Okay, got a couple things to start off today. One is I can unglue the inlay. So we'll see how that is. Okay, so I have it in here. The edge is really rough. I'm going to try to clean it up with this block plane. I only have a little bit of ebony left. Now another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rip this in half, right? Clean it up just a tiny, tiny bit, and then glue it to the Paduke, the longer piece of Paduke, big, and then feed them through the joiner. Now I'll take the block of this first and joint this, well not joint this, but flatten these two sides a little better. Then, when everything is glued up, I will go ahead and take tiny, tiny passes, flipping it over each time until I bring the ebony down to its final thickness. This is my last shot. This is all the ebony I have left. I ran this through the planer just to clean up the two edge sides. Now I can feel where the snipe is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this sandpaper here . Another blowout. Well, that's why I have another piece. Okay, I'm going to cut this piece of ebony now. My last sold piece of ebony. Here we go. Not that bad, not that good, but what I'll do is clean up these faces just a little bit in the planer. I'm not trying to get down to a depth here. I'll do that after I glue everything up. But I just want to clean up the faces just a little bit. Okay, it's kind of glued up. Let that sit for a while and we'll move on. So while the inlay banding for the legs is drying, move on to another project, which would be this. I seem to have glued the sheet to it. Okay. The sheet is glued too. I didn't want the glue dripping on the floor, so I put a sheet down. Okay, well, I'll try to get that off of there. I think it's just going to be one of those days. Here it is. Not too bad. I'll clean up the edges on the table saw, and then we'll move on. I went ahead and I cleaned up the blanks, I cleaned up the sides, and I cut off the ends. So now what I want to do here is round over the ends, because I want the paper to kind of come up and fold over. Okay, I'm going to take this top. Now this is MDF, so it's not a lot of work, but I'm going to round that over some. So that's basically it there. I'll go ahead and do the other side. So I took the belt, which I tore, right, and put it on there. So this will let me know, and I marked it, so this will let me know where to put these cleats. Now these cleats will go here. There'll be screws that'll punch through the paper. You can see there I just kind of rounded, took the plane to the sides, took them over to the drum center, just cleaned them up so the corners wouldn't really catch or anything. So I will look for their spots and I will mark them, and then I will drill pilot holes for the screws. Okay, so I marked out where those holes are going to go, the pilot holes. Now, here is a dowel. This dowel is going to be a handle to kind of help it along. Maybe a nubby handle in the front that I can get my fingers around, and one in the back that I can kind of push from. Just sort of like a plane, but a little simpler. I'm going to clean up this end here, and then I'm going to take it over to the drum sander, and I'm going to do these while the drum sander is still in the machine. Okay, first things first is I want to drill a hole for these, right? And I want them to go down pretty far. So that'll go in that hole. Now I marked 2 spots. I'll go ahead and drill that. Guess it doesn't really matter, but we'll put some glue in there, some glue on there, and I will marry these mallet blow right down like that, and I will do the same here. And there we go. Just like that. Not too bad, not too bad. Okay. Pretty good.